Hot food needs to be served hot, and cold food needs to be served cold. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to make sure that you season properly. When a dish arrives at a table, should taste it and not have to reach for some salt and put some salt on top. If they do that, then you're not performing as a chef. You should be providing the food in its perfect state. So this is also the most important thing. I will always get my guys to make sure they taste everything. Everything that they cook, they have to taste, and it has to be perfect before it leaves the kitchen. I was born in Ireland. My dad is a chef. He taught in college for maybe 30 years or so. So from the very, very early age, I always wanted to be a chef. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. He told me not to, because it's a very difficult job. But of course we do. You don't listen to your parents sometimes, no? Yeah, I started my training in Ireland. I qualified as a chef in 1983. And as soon as I qualified, I left Ireland to gain experience, and I went to work in Germany. From there, I went to Switzerland. From there, an opportunity came for me to travel to Georgia, which had just gained its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. And it was the very first international hotel in the ex-Soviet Union, which was a very interesting time. So in Georgia in 1991, I met my wife, Tamara. We got married. We have now 4 children. I moved from Georgia to Moscow. I opened a hotel in Moscow for Kempinski Hotels. We lived in Moscow for nearly almost 7 years, and then moved back to Ireland, to my hometown, and worked in Ireland for about 12 or 13 years till all my children had their education. They went to school, they went to university in Ireland, and then I started getting bored when the children weren't annoying me anymore. They were all grown up. So then I contacted Kempinski again and told them that I would like to rejoin. And I rejoined Kempinski again in Slovakia, where I spent 2 years. From there I moved to a Kempinski hotel, an opening again in Vilnius in Lithuania. I spent 2 years there. From Lithuania I moved to another Kempinski hotel in Kenya, in Nairobi. From there I moved to Cyprus, so I'm moving back into Europe. Spent 2 years working in the Elysium Hotel in Cyprus, in Paphos. And from there the opportunity came to move to Nur-Sultan, to the Sheraton Hotel where we are sitting today, as part of an opening team, a task force to open the hotel. My son got married in January in Australia. I left Australia, it was plus 47, and I arrived in Kazakhstan, it was minus 27, so it's nearly 70 degrees of a difference. So my first impressions were cold. Second impressions of Nur-Sultan was big, wide streets, looks like a very organized city. And my first impressions of the hotel obviously were very, very good, because I decided to stay here. I've worked all of my career, except for one restaurant, I've worked all of my career in hotels, because I like the diversity. For example, a couple of the hotels where I've worked in Cyprus, we had 7 restaurants. In Kenya, Nairobi, we had 6 restaurants. Diversity of your day, which I enjoy a lot working in the hotel. There's long hours. I mean, you're starting early in the morning. Some of the hotels where I've worked, I've done split shifts. I worked in Ireland for 7 years doing a split shift, which is very difficult. Africa was absolutely amazing, but it was difficult from a logistics point of view, obviously, to get ingredients, top quality ingredients. Into Nairobi itself wasn't a problem, but the tented camp we had in the Masai Mara was difficult. It was a 5-hour drive in a jeep to get to the camp. I mean, we had top celebrities from the world of entertainment and presidents of countries there in the camp. I've cooked for 4 American presidents, which is unusual. There's probably not many American chefs that have cooked for 4 American presidents. I've cooked for movie stars, Michael Jackson, Tina Turner, Robert De Niro, Sting. I mean, the list could go on and on. If you go to a restaurant, even if it's just a pizzeria, and you love the pizza, and the next time you go back the pizza is not the same as it was before, then you're probably not going to go back to that restaurant again. So consistency is also extremely important. What's also important as well is to know your clientele, know your guests, and know what they are looking for. and be flexible to change as well, and not always just stick at this is the restaurant, this is the food that we are doing, and never change. People are going there because they feel at home. So usually top chefs, I mean, you like to go to the local market, and you will walk around the local market, and then you will see some ingredients that are in season, something jumps back at you, because, oh, that looks fantastic. It might only be a tomato. And the tomato happens to be in season, it's perfectly firm, it's a fantastic red color, and all of a sudden you're getting an inspiration, oh, I'd love to do something with that tomato. And then if you're creative, you'll try and do something that's completely different. A chef doesn't like when somebody criticizes what they're doing, because it's like an artist who makes a painting. And a painting is very subjective. Somebody might love it and somebody might hate it. And it's probably the same with some food as well. But if you put everything into what you're producing, if you're an artist and you're putting all your efforts into something, if somebody doesn't like that or doesn't appreciate it, it's very, very difficult. There's a lot of emotion. You have to, as I said before, everything that you do has to be done to the best of your ability. So you're putting a lot of effort, a lot of mental stress goes into producing, but that's the only way that you can guarantee that what's coming out on the other side is of high quality. When I was a kid, barely able to stand up to the stove, I used to love to bake. And that's where my first passion came from. I used to make cakes, I used to make wedding cakes and Christmas cakes and decorate with royal icing and all of this. So my first passion was always towards pastry. And then afterwards I moved into the kitchen. So the first thing I cooked was probably an apple tart, an apple pie. And then after that, probably from a hot food, probably Irish stew. I always say to the young guys when they're starting off, you need to plan your career. It's very important. Because what can happen to you when you're very young is you will be drawn towards money rather than gaining quality experience. And the problem with that is that you get stuck then in a place and you can't move. So my advice is always go to a place where you can learn as much as you can and don't think about the money. Money is always a reward for doing a good job. It should never be the reason why you should do something. You know, this is something that I will try and teach them from a very early age. Envisage yourself. I always ask it during an interview, where you see yourself in 5 years' time. It's a very important question, because if somebody says to me, I don't know where I'm going to see myself, well then they're not planning their career, and you have to. It's extremely important that you move in steps going up. If you take a step too quickly and you have to reverse back, then it looks very, very bad on your CV. So to become a good chef is to gain as much experience as possible, to be passionate about what you do. Every single day, no matter what you do, you have to try and do it better than you did it the day before.